Hello, everybody, and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. And a bit of an issue for the Springboks, who are currently in the middle of a bit of an injury crisis, with Faf de Klerk being the latest member of the Springbok squad, who is currently carrying an injury and undergoing scans to see if he could potentially be ruled out of the end of year series. And this is on the back of the news about Frans Malherbe, about Archie Snyman, Johan Goosen, who's a potential call-up for the Springboks, as well as the sort of continued doubt over Cheslin Kolbe's availability for the end-of-year tour. So, looking at sort of 4 or 5 players who could very well be in sort of a final block 23 at the moment for some of the tests at the end of the year. Before we look at all the injuries and the latest on Faf de Klerk, please do smash like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. So, it's not been good news in the last couple of weeks with the Springboks. Now, first of all, we sort of saw Johan Goosen limping off over the weekend, and he's been somebody that a lot of people have been calling for to be included in the end-of-year tour to sort of Scotland, Wales, and England. And unfortunately, it looks like his season is virtually over. He, in fact, returned to South Africa earlier this week to undergo scans, although no official update has been provided since. As a result, Morné Steyn has had to fly into Wales and will join up with the squad and will likely play off the bench this weekend, with Chris Smith probably being backed as the first choice fly half. Now, he wasn't the only one that limped off this weekend. Archie Snyman, in just his 3rd game back for Munster, has re-ruptured his cruciate ligament. His ACL is gone, and that is another 9 months out for Archie Snyman. And I mean, an incredibly frustrating year where he couldn't play in the British and Irish Lions series, has had a knee injury, has had the burns issue after the fire pit incident, and now faced another 9 months on the sidelines, and at this stage, whilst he's still not, he's still got quite a few years ahead of him, we're talking about one of the best players that at this stage we're just not seeing at the moment, and somebody who was one of the reasons for the sort of the coming of the bomb squad, with the Springboks having, Franco Mostert, Archie Snyman, and Francois Lowe, and they just sort of couldn't leave out any of the 3, and that's sort of where the kind of bomb squad was born. So Archie Snyman was pivotal to that fact, and one of the most sort of informed locks in the world, and finally sort of coming back from injury and stuff like that. A lot of calls, they were hoping to be able to see him at the end of their tour back in Springbok colours, and that was sort of then blown out the water after redoing his ACL. Unfortunately, this is a sort of injury that's not necessarily, I mean, it can be career ending. We don't know if he'll ever be able to come back from this injury like this. This could be the start of one of those sort of careers, a bit like a Johan Goosen, where Archie Snyman continues to just sort of always sort of be injured and be unavailable. So that probably sort of the biggest sort of knife to the heart for the Springboks, the fact that such talented player and somebody who's such an important part of the box setup, or is supposed to be such a big part of the box setup, is sort of facing a major sort of career defining sort of next 12 months, whether he can actually respond from this injury. Now, obviously, the Springboks already missing the likes of Pieter-Steph du Toit. Now, Frans Malherbe has also been confirmed that he will be missing the end-of-year series. And I don't think people kind of realize how important Frans Malherbe is. There sort of continues to be this really poor narrative about the fact that, and I genuinely do think it's a lot down to do with the fact that, he is bigger, he is not as mobile as some players, but he is an absolute anchor of a scrum. He's huge on defense. He makes some of the most tackles in the entire sort of team. He's very important in terms of the organization of the defense. He's a very intelligent player, and somebody who I don't think probably gets as much respect as he probably deserves. So that's also a major blow for the Springboks. And now the Faf de Klerk incident at the moment, this was a update from Sales Sharks, and it reads as follows. It says, Faf is currently undergoing assessment for his hip flexor injury, which was sustained in the Lions test and has become more severe recently. But we need to get clarity on that. There are concerns that it could be months, but we need confirmation. We have to wait for the right assessments, otherwise it's scaremongering, and we've had all the scans sent over. So at this stage, if it is as bad as initially feared, Faf de Klerk would also be ruled out for the end-of-year series. So, I mean, you're talking about, you're starting tight head in Frans Malherbe, you're starting flank in Pieter-Steph du Toit, you're starting scrum half in the likes of Faf de Klerk, potentially a replacement lock in the likes of Archie Snyman. Johan Goosen is touted as a potential solution for that sort of utility back position. Somebody who covers fullback, centre, fly half as well. A lot of people calling for him to be in the number 23 jersey for Springboks. Some people even calling for him to start at fly half. And then Cheslin Kolbe continues to recover from his injury. At the moment, he is expected to be announced or unveiled as a Toulon player in the next couple of days, but he still is not back to action at the moment. And, running out of time with the Springboks playing in less than a month. In fact, a month today is actually the second test up against Scotland. So, we're talking that we could be looking at sort of 3 or 4 players who would be our starting lineup not being available for the end of year tour, as well as several bench options. So, obviously, the Springbok depth has always been something which has been quite useful, but I think this is an interesting opportunity in terms of the chance for us to try and blood a different tide here, the chance for us to, start looking at scrum half options. And Kobus Reinach has tended to be the replacement whenever Faf de Klerk has not started. And Herschel Yanks continues to be sort of the bench option. So, this could be a chance to start, Herschel for a test or two, or continue to start Kobus Reinach. But either way, if there's no Faf de Klerk, the silver lining is it's an opportunity to really test out Herschel and Kobus and even bring somebody else in. And sort of see what they can do. If Ches and Colby doesn't, for example, manage to recover, we continue to look at the likes of Spur and Corsi and maybe sort of see if Apollo Fassi gets a chance at the end of year tour. So those are sort of the only sort of really positive, I suppose, in the likes of an injury crisis, the fact that you get to sort of test your squad depth. And it is only 3 tests. So, it's not, and it's the end of the season. It's not quite, an incoming series, which is just for the Rugby Championship, and you sort of end up playing 9 tests within, 2 or 3 months. It is only 3 tests. But, it's 3 tests that we'd like to win, and we'd like to go over there and win all 3. So it should be a very interesting sort of test of the depth for the Springboks. Let me know which sort of players you would like to see in their absence. Obviously, Jan Kloos and Archie Snyman weren't part of the last Springbok squad, but in the absence of Frans Malherbe, in the absence of Faf de Klerk, which players would you like to see? Do we want to see Trevor Nyakane switching back to tight head? Would you like to see somebody else coming up? Would you like to see Wilco Lowe getting a chance? Maybe Thomas Latoy, maybe calling in a new fresh face, somebody like a Carly Sardi, for example. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Smash like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. My name is Steven. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll chat to you soon.